Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sitaram Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sitaram Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram Patita Pavana Sitaram Raghupati Raghava Patita Pavana Sitaram Sitaram Jaya Sitaram Sitaram Jaya Sitaram 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 Jaya Sitaram. This is a stamp from the Indian government a few years ago. So even in spite of it being Kali Yuga and everything covered, still Prabhupada said live Indian, live elephant, dead elephant, 1 lakh rupees, which meant that in spite of them being greatly debilitated, they still have underneath it all, Prabhupada said, you scratch the surface and underneath it, India's Krishna conscious. So Sita, Ram, Radha, Krishna, Lakshmi, Narayan, this is the warp and woof of their culture. Many of these pictures, paintings in this presentation are from the Akbar. Akbar was the emperor, and he was Muslim, but he was a free thinker. And even Aurangzeb, the others, Mughal emperors, they were all very educated. They were very, they knew astronomy, astrology, medicine, so many. They were poets and painters. And so when he was a boy, there was a Ramayana, the story of Lord Ram's pastimes, made for him, a hand-painted booklet, I don't know how many pages, but hundreds of pages. And so this is from many of the paintings in this presentation are from Akbar's own private copy of the Ramayana. So there we go now. I guess I just say forward and we go forward. All righty. Okay, go ahead. I think we're going to skip forward. See, we can skip all this. Go till I tell you to stop. What's it? No, thanks anyway. Keep going till I tell you to stop. Okay. So we go back. There we go. So there's different Ramayans. We're going to read from the Valmiki Ramayana. It's the longest epic poem. Forget the Iliad and the Odyssey. It's the longest epic poem in the world, 24,000 verses. And it is written by the great sage Valmiki, who was a highwayman, a robber. And so the story goes, he accosted Narada Muni, and he said to Narada Muni, give me your most valuable thing. Now Narada Muni's a great sage, but he's living as a renunciate in the forest. So he said, well, the most valuable thing I have is the holy name. So Valmiki, the highwayman, the robber, had no interest in that, and said, no. I want something. I'm a highwayman, I'm a murderer, I want something in that line. So Narada gave him the verse which consisted in part of Mara, which is the goddess of death. So if you repeat Mara, 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 Rama, 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 it becomes Rama, Rama. And he was never seen again, disappeared. And what actually happened is he became covered by an anthill, and he was inside. And there was this hearing of Ram, 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 Ram. And at some point he was excavated and he came out, having meditated for thousands of years on the name of Lord Ram. He came out and wrote the Ramayana. So that's Valmiki. Next. And why does the Ramayana matter to us? Well, we all inside of us have goals, have aspirations, have morals, have values, whatever they may be. They may come from Batman or from I don't know who, but still each of us has some goals, and the Ramayana, well, next. Lord Ram comes to show the example of a perfect leader and a perfect human being. That's Lord Ram. Next. So the seeds that bore bitter fruit. These are the precursor. Nobody gets away from anything. Nobody escapes. Everyone. What is the verse? It's not in the Bible, actually. But it says the wheel of justice turns slowly, but grinds infinitely fine. It may not work in our time. We may not see how the cosmos is working. But everybody gets exactly what they deserve at the right time. So this is Ravan, and he stole Kuvera's flower airplane. That's what I wanted to say. Many of these paintings, here, hand me that bag, thanks, are Persian style. Because at the time, the Persians were the best, the top. So these are, even though we're in India, North India, these are Persian, a whole, forget the word, but a whole gallery or a whole school of painters came and lived in Delhi and moved with the court of the Mughals. So this is a flower airplane, doesn't need wings to fly. Tamal Krishnamurti told me that he was sitting with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was narrating this story and said, by mantra you can make anything fly. And Tamal was sitting on a little carpet, and he said, anything, Prabhupada? And Prabhupada looked at the carpet, he looked at the carpet, and Prabhupada said, anything. He was expecting he'd have to grab on and fly out the window in any moment, But, so by mantra, they can make anything fly. So there's Ravana, here's his Indra's flower airplane, and there's some Ravana's local friends. Next. And this point of pride goes before a fall. The arrogance, no one's able to outrun time, outrun destiny, no. Okay, so here's another one of his, one of the precursors that set up the karmic weight that created Ravan. So this was Dasarath, Lord Ram's father, was hunting in the forest. Now he saw what he thought was the nose of a deer. The duties of Kshatriyas is just like in New Vrindavan, because the devotees had whatever it was, 1,800 acres of land, and they didn't hunt on it. They got attacked by deer. I mean, the deer used to jump 12 feet over the fence and eat the corn with the feed for the deer. So if you don't cull, I think is the right word, if you don't cull the local animals, especially deer, tigers, ferocious wild boars, if the Kshatriyas don't go in there and cut back and kill them, they overgrow the whole place. They overrun it. And so they have a duty to protect the sages. And how do they learn to? It's not so easy to kill somebody, by the way. You know, it takes a lot of effort. So, in case you were making plans, so the Kshatriyas had to hone their art of how to kill. We're off the field, but we're going to go a little bit late. Pujaris, we're going to go a little late, not much. So what was I going to say? I got banged in the face, and the brain hasn't recovered yet. Yeah, no, I was thinking beyond that. But, oh, that was it. Akbar, because we happen to be talking about him. This is Kshatriya. You know, sometimes you get some ISKCON devotees get a gun or two and claim that they're a Kshatriya. But the thing is, Akbar, riding on a horse at, I don't know how far, but probably at least 50 yards, could shoot. He had an arrow. It was shaped like a half moon, razor sharp, but shaped like a half moon. And just to pick up his sword, because years ago, they said you could walk around in the Jaipur Royal Museum and touch and lift all these things. I couldn't even have swung his sword, and I was a young, healthy man at the time. But he had this arrow that was shaped like a half crescent, razor sharp. And the reason he had it that shape, because the Turkish soldiers used to have they'd had a top piece, and then they had a breastplate. And there was a crack right, you know, whatever it is, not even an inch, right at their neck, so they could turn their neck and so they could let the heat out. And they could shoot. He could shoot on a horse that half crescent arrow, hit them in the neck in that tiny crack, and slice their head off. That's a Kshatriya. So they have to practice their skills. So he was out in the forest practicing his skills. And there was this is Dasarath here. And this is a blind hermit and his wife. And they had a son who was taking care of them. They were blind, old folks, what to do. And Dasarath saw them in the forest. I give the Dravida a nudge. He asked me to give him a nudge if he falls asleep. So you are out cold. So there it is. Dasarath accidentally shot the son. And as the boy was dying, his father cursed that you also will lose your son and it will kill you. So that's another, in addition to the many offenses. Next. So here we go. King Dasarath, he wanted to get a son. So when they perform Jaga, you know, the neighbors call the fire department on us. But when the great sages and kings would perform these Jagas, this is what came out of the fire. This is the big demon. It came out of the fire. Well, not demon, but the personification of the Jaga. And this is, he came out with a pot of nectar. And he gave it to each of Dasarath's 4 wives. and they each had a child. Next, one of them being Lakshman, one being Bharat, the other being Satrughna, and the last being Ram. No. Okay, next. So Kaikeya, in other words, we think we're in charge, we think we're in control, we think we're captain of our destiny. On one hand, we are by our activities, but nothing goes unobserved, and nothing goes without its reaction. So these are all the events that built up and caused the Ramayana. So, of course, Kaikeya, she was given 3 boons. She'd saved her. She actually took over as the charioteer and brought her husband out, Dasarath, out of a very difficult battle situation. So she saved his life. You read these like cartoons. This is actually one scene. This is another scene. You'll see what they move like our animations. There'll be several. There'll be the passage of time, 3 or 4 different scenes on one painting. So, Dasarath made a vow that he'll give his wife 3 benedictions. She said, I'll take them later when I actually need them. And she took the benediction later. And it's a whole story. There's a whole intrigue. What was the I'm thinking of no, not these. Wait till I ask. The maidservant of Kaikeyi started with an M. Mantra. That was mantra. So it's a whole story. But she planted this seed that actually, they're going to banish Bharat and kill him when he's away in a forest, and So just before Ram was about to be installed as the king, she devised this plan and put within the ear of Dasarath poisonous. So we'll go on to the next, that you should banish Ram, put my son in charge. So when Dasarath, because he has to keep his word. Now people just lie all the time. You ask them what the weather is and they'll lie about it. It's just human nature. So people lie in the age of Kali, but previously, even my father, when he was a businessman, if he gave his word, that was it. Shook hands. Used to mean something, So here's Dasarath after she's asked for this benediction that Ram is banished to the forest. And so, next. We're trying to move fast here. So here's Ram. He's leaving Ayodhya. Here all the citizens are waving goodbye. But many of them went with him. They said, Ram's leaving. Why are we going to stay here? We're not going to stay without Ram. Wherever Ram goes, we're going. So they followed him, at least for one day. They followed him out to the forest. Here's Sita. Here's Ram. Of course, Sita. She went with, what do they say? In sickness and health and, in richer or poorer. No way, man. They get a prenuptial written before they get married so that, hey, you lose your money, I'm out of here. But that's not an actual. So Ram's going to the forest, I'm going to the forest. Next. So here's the citizens of Ayodhya begged to come with Ram. They said, Ram's going to the forest, we'll go to the forest. If we're in the palatial grounds of the palace without Ram, that will be the forest. And if we're in the forest with Ram, then that's like a palace to us. But the Kaikeyi said, Kaikeyi is the, which one was the, Kaushalya was the Ram's mother. So right, Kaikeyi, She said, no, if you all go to the forest, it's the same thing as him being here at the palace. So you can't go. So they hear these Lord Ram saying, no, you stay here, you serve my brother Bharat, and like that. So they're leaving. Next. So this is the first night in the forest. Here they are coming up to the river. Here they are crossing the river. Here they are in the encampment on the other side of the river. The river marked the boundary of he's actually doing it. He's actually leaving, you know. And on what basis? Now they're all, anyway, you got the idea. Next, because I'm thinking of the time. So Dasarath, he dies of separation. Yeah, we can't outsmart the material nature. Next. This is Bharat appeals. So Bharat, let's see which way it starts. But the point is, this is several scenes. This is Bharat. I don't have my glasses, so Bharat goes out. As soon as Bharat comes back and finds out what happened, that Ram has been banished, he says, well, let's go get him. You know, my father's passed away. There's no longer the need to support his vow. So they all go to the forest. But Ram says, no, this was the order of my father. I'm out here for 14. How long was it? 14 years? Yeah, I'm out here for 14 years. So there's they all return. Here they are returning back brokenhearted. Here they are on their way out. They find Lord Ram and connects. So Bharat returns with Ram's shoes. Anyone know what he did? Other than Dravida? Anyone know? Yeah, Mataji.
He put him on the throne.
He put the throne on the, put the shoes on the throne. He sat on a grass mat, and he survived. He didn't eat anything except for barley, which is evidently a very nutritious, you know. It would wear on you after a while. But just to make sure there was no sense gratification, he would boil barley in cow's urine and eat. That's all he ate for the 14 years. So here he is returning to and putting the shoes on the next. Here they are. Here are the shoes. And he lived outside the city. He didn't live in the palace. He lived in, here you see a simple tent outside the city walls. Next. So here they are, wherever there's Ram, wherever there's Sita, the goddess of fortune. It was auspicious. You know, only Krishna doesn't wear shoes. So Vrindavan is the only place you can see Krishna's footprints in the dust. Lord Ram, he was in the forest accoutrements, but he made shoes out of grass. So you didn't see his foot. That's one of the unique features of Vrindavan. Okay, next. So once again, this completely tips over the apple cart of material expectations. Everyone thinks conditions. They're conditioned to think that conditions determine our happiness. But happiness has nothing to do with condition. It depends on consciousness. So here they are in the forest. They're all doing different things. Lord Ram is doing hunting, and they're meeting with sages. So each one of these, here's one scene. I think he's hunting. I think here he's meeting with sages. Here's Sita making a nice house, their simple hut, but because decorating it very nicely. So this is the scene in the forest. Next. Simple living and high thinking. If you note, all these clothes are made out of leaves. His crowns, they're all leaves. Here they are meeting with the sages. So they were having a very sweet time in the forest. Next. Oh, this is Sabara. She was a forest, living in a simple hut and living off wild fruits and things like that. But she was a great devotee of Lord Ram. So she would gather all day long, she'd gather rare forest fruits. But this is not something we should imitate. But she would eat. Here you can see she's got a basket of rare forest fruits, and she would take a bite. And if it was tasty, then she'd give the other half to Lord Ram. So that's a elevated level of intimacy, that she didn't want to give Lord Ram anything that wasn't tasty and nice at the perfection of ripeness. So this is Shabara. Next. So they used to, like I said, they were visiting sages and so many things, but life is never peaceful. They were very happy in the forest, but Krishna has them. And remember his purpose. You can test a person's character in adversity. Just like gold. You ever seen a jeweler, how they rub on a stone? They'll rub the gold on a black, particular type of stone. And they can tell whether it's 14 carats, 18 carats, 24 carats, by the way it feels and the way it looks. So Chanakya Pandit said, as you test a gold by rubbing, it comes out. You can see by its quality of the gold. So similarly, you can test a person's character in adversity. If you're living on a beautiful tropical island and being fanned and fed peeled grapes, well, you can say, I'm very peaceful. Okay. But what about when you're actually tested, put in difficulty? Then your character comes out. So to show the example of a perfect human being, Lord Ram was tested. Here you can see these are the sages living in the caves, and they're visiting, and the devas are watching Lord Ram and Sita's activities. It's a very wonderful scene. Next. So, of course, we know the pastime, but just remembering it is sweet. So it wasn't just an ordinary deer, kind of a gold color. This is Marichi, the sky. He was sent by Lord Ram. I mean, we're skipping. It's 24,000 verses. You move this, okay? Thanks. It's 24,000 verses, so you can imagine what's in there. But he was a gold-colored, jewel-encrusted deer. That's what attracted Sita. And of course, Lord Ram, it's a whole story. Lakshman doesn't want to leave. Anyway, I just skipped that because we don't have time. Next, okay. But to click it back, this is an example of serving a bad master. By association, we develop our character. So Marichi was actually a nice guy, nice person, but he was under the service of Ravana, and Ravana sent him. Check out Sita, I want to see you, and then lead her away from Ram. So Ram went after, Ram went after this golden deer, and they left Lakshman to guard Sita. But the shape-shifting asuras, Marichi began to cry, Ram, Ram, and it sounded like Lakshman. She was called. I'll get it. Lakshman. Yeah, please do. So Lakshman, he was calling Lakshman. So, well, there it is. Next, because of the time. So while here's Lord Ram. Ram is over here. And Lakshman went to assist him. Here they are killing the golden deer, and Ravana shows up as disguised as a sannyasi. This is a Persian sannyasi. He's got his little danda here. So Ram had drawn a circle. Lakshman had drawn a circle. Now, I'm sorry to be harsh. I'm just really incapacitated, and it takes me a little while for my brain to catch up. So just work with me. Thanks. So Lakshman drew a circle and said, you stay within this. You stay within the hut. You stay within this circle, and by mantra and incantations, it'll protect you. So Ravana could only go so far. He could only go to the edge of that circle. So Ravana actually came up to the edge of the circle. It's like an electric fence, zzz, he got a jolt. So he lay down just in front of it, on the outside of the circle, and said, "Oh, Mother Sita, I'm so weak. I haven't eaten in days. Please." And she said, "Come here, just get I have some fruit and milk. Just come." He said, "No, I'm too weak." So by nature being soft-hearted, she came and stepped outside the circle to give Ravana, who she thought was a famished sannyasi, and then he grabbed her. So while Ram was distracted, of course it's all pastime, then here she is handing to Ravan. Okay, next. Yeah, and also Prabhupada says, how do you know a saintly person other than Dravida? How do you know a saintly person? Well, they have saffron, they have a beard, they can float a glass of water, they can make a little plastic jewel. How do you know? How do you know a fool? Do you know a fool by how he looks? Yeah, by what he says. When they open their mouth, you know, as I'm now manifesting. So here I was reading the other day about the different devas ride on different vehicles. You know, Shiva has a bull, Brahma has a swan. It went all the way down to all the planetary systems. So Ravana, as an indicator, rode on 4 donkeys, mules. So there he is grabbing Sita. Here he's taking her. Like I was saying, there's several scenes, often, sometimes just one, but sometimes several scenes. So here he is, Persian sannyasi, grabbing Sita, and then here they are flying away on his flying chariot led by donkeys. And here's Jatayu trying to defend her. Even though it's a losing battle, he gave up his life to try to save Sita. Okay, next. So then Lord Ram returns, finds the empty cottage, searches the forest, and he finds pieces of Ravana's chariot and the dying Jatayu. So even though he sacrificed his life, it's like devotional service. It's not really the particulars of the service, it's the desire to serve, the humble approach. That's what actually attracts Krishna. It's not, we're attracted by the material results. You get it by hook or by crook, but hey, I got the thing. But that's not really what pleases Krishna, is the desire of the devotion. So even though Jatayu left his body, here you see Jatayu over here. But because he gave up his life, and tried, therefore he was able to give Sita Ram the information. Oh, Ravana took her and he went that way. Like the movies, he went that way. So there it is, next. So Rama and Lakshman, they meet Hanuman. Now Hanuman came disguised as a mendicant because he didn't know. It's a whole story about Bali and Sugriva and how their monkey kings are, one of them is hiding in the forest. That's a whole other story. But the Hanuman wanted to see, who are these people? Are they friend or foe? They were traveling through the forest. Even though they look like princes, why are they dressed in forest clothing? What's going on here? So he came down disguised as a mendicant, and here he's meeting Ram and Lakshman and Hanuman. They were very impressed. You know, Hanuman, even though he was as a monkey, he was a poet, he was a mystic. Hanuman is an amazing personality. Next. So King Sugriva gives Ram the monkeys in the forest, Hanuman's friends and the servants of the Monkey King, because as Sita, just like Rukmini knew, she actually gave a roadmap to Krishna, how to, I'm least guarded at this time when I'm coming from the temple of Durga. This is when there's the best time to catch me. And she sent him a whole plan. Here's how it wasn't, she was just, oh, help me, help me. The damsel in distress. She was the catalyst and the cause of the thing. So in the same way, what could Sita do? She's being dragged away by Ravan, but she was dropping her jewels to lead a path so that Ram could find, which direction did they go, like that. So here he's holding some of the clothing and jewels of Sita that she had thrown, and they're now giving it to Ram. Oh, they went this way, they were here, they were, like that. So next. So here's Sugriva. It's the same scene. And Prabhupada, when he told this story, Prabhupada made the point that you judge a person by character. Again, the whole theme of Ramayana is, what does it mean to have character and quality and dedication and honor? That meant something. What is it that T.S. Eliot, who used to be a famous poet, said, and he's got a poem called The Hollow Man. And he's talking about Kali Yuga and industrial age and World War I and the whole, how people have it's devastated. And he says, the last line of the poem is, how will the world end? Not with a bang, but with a whimper. The people are just reduced to gerbils. If they can get to Walmart and back, it's considered a major success. And but what is this life in Kali Yuga? Okay, so Hanuman, although a monkey, and you see how Lord Ram and Lakshman, they've got their leaf crowns, and here's the Sugriva giving the jewels they've found, and they're bonding together in this joint effort to find Sita. Next. So here's the monkeys searching. They were, like I say, it's several scenes here. One of the monkeys is killing one of some Rakshasa living in a cave. Here they're searching throughout the forest. They were all looking everywhere. And simultaneously, they were curbing down the Asuras and Rakshasas living wild in the forest. Next. Sampati. Now, Sampati is the brother of Jatayu. So here you see, here they are searching. They get to the edge. They've searched as far as they can. Of course, Ravan is out on Sri Lanka. So they get to the edge of the ocean, but they find some Sampati. And here he's telling him, oh, he flew over me. He went this way. He's in Lanka. So, next. So, I'm trying to remember how it works in my enfeebled condition. Everybody else gave up except for Hanuman. And Hanuman found Sampati and brought Lord Ram there. So, what does Prabhupada say? Big, big monkey, big, big belly, Ceylon jumping, melancholy. So you can be big talk, You know, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but what do you actually accomplish? So everybody else gave up, but Hanuman actually found out where she was and all of that. So now we fast forward. This is Lakshman and Hanuman, and they're getting ready to go to Lanka. So Hanuman, just to give Sita hope, don't worry, Ram's coming, don't give up. Because when he arrived, she only had 1 month. She said, I can't tolerate this situation. Now that I know that Ram is hopefully coming, I can hold on for 1 month. But after that, I'm leaving my body. Okay, do what you got to do. They'll sort it out. The next. So here you can see, and Prabhupada makes this point. When Prabhupada was in the middle of the fight to get the Bombay temple, and Prabhupada said it's not that Vaishnavas don't fight for Krishna. Prabhupada said actually Vaishnava philosophy rests on two things. It rests on the Ramayana and it rests on the Mahabharata. And in the Mahabharata, the hero are the Pandavas. And the Ramayana, the hero, of course, is Hanuman, Prabhupada says. Hanuman and Arjuna. So Mahabharata is Arjuna and Hanuman is the Ramayana. And those are the two pillars that are holding the roof of Vaishnavism. And they're devotees and they're active. They're not idle. So devotee, we're not just sitting in the temple ringing bells. So here you see Hanuman's taken off. Victory to Ram! Off he goes. And at one point, there was this is some ocean, maybe that's a Temingal fish, I don't know. So which can eat can eat a whale like we eat a small nut. So he's jumping, and that Temingal is getting bigger and bigger, and Hanuman's getting bigger and bigger, and the Temingal's getting bigger and bigger. Because the arrangement was you had to come in and out of that animal. I mean, there's so many interlocking stories. But somehow or other, this was a sage, and unless you went in and out of his mouth, you couldn't pass. So what to do? The bigger Hanuman got, the bigger he got, the bigger Hanuman, the bigger he got. So when he got super big, Hanuman came down to the size of a cat, in and out. So devotees are intelligent. We don't give up. Prabhupada, what is impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. You guys think Prabhupada was heavy. Thinks that, we're heavy. Dravid and I, we may get heavy with each other. We may get heavy with you. But you have no idea how heavy Prabhupada could get. It was good. It's being trained, we were trained. You don't give up. Next. So this is, again, several scenes. Like, where's that? Where's Waldo? Who can find Hanuman? He's in there. I think this is Hanuman, a little clipped off, but I'm not sure. So this is inside the palace of Ravana. And it was a bacchanal, is that the word? It was a scene of drinking and womanizing and musicians and the hedonistic apex of so-called happiness. So here's Hanuman, but he's looking for Sita. And even though there's so many, beautiful women and this and that, he wasn't distracted. The way to give up sex desire is to be absorbed in your service. So in the same way, by being absorbed, he wasn't distracted by anything. He was looking for Sita. But inside the palace, he didn't find. And Sita had been told by Ravana, you either surrender to me or I'm going to have talk about the art of wooing. You either surrender to me or I'm cooking you up and in a month and eating you as a stew. So she wouldn't live in his palace. Next. So she was staying in an Ashok forest. Who can find Hanuman? Anybody find Hanuman? He's up there in the tree. He's right here. He could expand and shrink. As we saw him get super big, he could also get small. And he had that jewel. He had Sita's ring. So he's, because you can see these Rakshashis all taunting. You'll see more in a minute. But they're taunting Sita, and Ram's never coming. They even came with a fake Ravana. Ravana came with a fake Ram and killed him. You know, so many things. Sita had really been tortured. So how did she know that Hanuman wasn't just another, Rakshasa magic? So, but see, Lord Ram sent her his ring. So then that she knew Ram's ring. Okay, so he's definitely an agent of Lord Ram. So here's, meeting her. Okay, next. Trust but verify. Here's Hanuman. Here you see the Rakshashis and they're taunting Sita. I love that. Here's this guy's got goat's horns, So he showed the confirmation. Here's Sita saying, oh, he's got Ram's ring. Next. And so she gave one of her own personal jewels that Ram would know. She gave that, you take this back to confirm that I'm still alive. So here she is with the Rakshashis in the Ashok forest, and she's giving her confirmation back to Ram. Okay, next. But just like Prabhupada, Prabhupada said that my business was to come to America and start the Krishna consciousness movement. Once that was going, he went back and delivered India. This is Prabhupada's first turn American, I can turn the world. And when that was done, he'd travel all over the world. So in a similar way, Hanuman had delivered the message. He'd confirmed a Sita sighting. He'd given her hope. He's coming. Just hang on. He's coming. Lord Rama is coming. But he also, as long as he was there, he wanted to scope out Rava. Just like Arjuna, Krishna showed him where the soldiers are, where the different generals are, what's the lay of the battlefield. So Hanuman was thinking, I'm inside. Let me check out the place. Let me see the fortifications. And I can give that valuable information back to Lord Ram. So he shrunk down to small size and let himself be captured. And Prabhupada points out that, or maybe it's Valmiki in the writing, that the monkeys are very fond of their tails. They're very fond of their tail. So they wrapped his tail in cloth soaked with oil, and they lit him on fire to burn off his tail. So Hanuman took and expanded to super huge size, and monkeys are always hopping around. So when he expanded himself, he snapped off all the chains and ropes, and he began jumping all over Lanka. He'd cased it out. He had the map of the palace. Then when he was hopping around with his tail on fire, he left all of Lanka in flames. Because the whole time he was there, when he saw Sita oppressed like that, he just wanted to smash Ravana. So after he got his job done, then he checked out Lanka, hopped all around, lit the whole place on fire, then expanded himself super huge and said, "Victory to Ram," and took off. So just imagine this scene. Next. So here he is, victory to Ram, and Lanka in flames from one monkey. Anyway, next. So this is, you can imagine the assembly of Rakshasas. This is, and we're close to the end. This is Ravana's grandfather went to him and said, "Don't give Sita back. You're going to ruin our whole dynasty." So this is his grandfather making an appeal to the 10-headed Ravan outside the city of gold. And this is his traveling companions. Quite a crew. Next. So this is Vibhishana. Vibhishana couldn't tolerate it anymore. The brother of Ravan, he abandoned his brother and he went to take shelter of Lord Ram. So this is Vibhishana as a Rakshasa coming in and surrendering to Lord Ram. Next. That appears to be upside down. Anyway, don't worry about it. I mean, just stand on your head. It'll all make sense to you. So the, well, you know the story. Next. So this is Bhavagrihi Janardanam. How do you conquer the unconquerable? How, Krishna says, Jita, what to do? And this is, you know the story, but so I'll just be quick. So you've got the Hanuman and the Varnas, out of the way. There's a little squirrel, trying to kick in some dust. And they're saying, out of the way, out of the way. They're bringing big boulders and tree trunks and, And Lord Ram said, no, I love this picture. He said, no. According to his capacity, he's working as hard. That little squirrel had a sweat on, it's like kicking those little. So that's what conquers Krishna, is bhakti. It's not exactly what you do. It's like Brajabadu. I don't know if she's faded into history. Brajabadu was over 100 and had forgotten how old she was. And I should give a class on her someday. I should actually do that if somebody reminds me. But she used to Ladali used to bring her. She would show up here for breakfast, get breakfast. She would have darshan, she would have breakfast. And she would sweep the patio. And she'd get about, a third of it done by lunchtime. Then she'd stop, have lunch prasadam with the devotees, and then work on the next third. And she'd sweep, about that speed. Then that would take you're no breakfast. Sorry to disappoint you. So that's all right, don't worry about it. So she'd be deeply disappointed. She'd be very upset. What was I going to say? Oh, the brahmacharis. The brahmacharis were heartbroken. They're big, husky, healthy men, and they got this little old lady over 100. She would not give up that broom. She would not give up that. You would beg and plead, and she wouldn't do it. And then by the end of the day, just in time for the early evening arti, so she would have gotten 3 or 4 good meals at each offering. She'd get the patio done, and the Ladali would come pick her up at 7 or 7:30 and take her home. That's devotion. So it's not so much anyway, you got the idea. Next. So here's Ravana's army marching to battle. Just imagine this scene. They've got dogs, jackals barking, vomiting flames. Quite a scene. Next. No, not in Phoenix with what do you call those things? My brain's not working. But help me out here. The drones. Yeah, the drones. So, hiding in a bunker and killing babies 1,000 miles, 20,000 miles away. No, they were there fighting. So anyway, here we are. There were so many, some of them were on the bridge, some of them were flying. This is Vibhishana flying in the sky, and they're attacking Ravana. So that's the attack on Lanka. Next. So here's Ram instructing them. They are all armed. They've got their boulders and tree trunks, and they're going for Lanka. Next. This is Kumbhakarna. Yeah, we'll go another 5 minutes and be done. This is Kumbhakarna, the brother of Ravan. And, yeah, what does that say? He was cursed. It was one of those things when they chanted the mantra wrong and a syllable was long instead of being short. So he wound up sleeping for 6 months. Oh, look up there. It's a far-out story. He had brothers, too. And each one of them asked for a benediction, but they got a curse instead. It just switched the word. So there he is. He was sleeping for 6 months. And when he would wake up, he'd have a voracious appetite. Next. So here they are waking him up. They had elephants ride over him. They pounded with kettle drums, the whole thing. So, and of course, Kumbhakarna, he's Vijay of the two cursed gatekeepers, with the 4 Kumaras. So Jai and Vijay, so Kumbhakarna was Vijay. Next. And he was killed by Ram. There it is. There's the scene of him being. Next. So, yeah, we'll go on to the next. Yeah, Indrajit, Indra's son, was a great mystic yogi, and he had a snake weapon that you shot with an arrow and a mantra infused. So here this is Indrajit. He's shooting, and these are constrictors. They'd wrap around you and squeeze tighter and tighter, and you couldn't move. So here's Lord Ram and Hanuman, and they're wrapped up by this serpent weapon. So next. So Hanuman is famous for utsaha, or enthusiasm. So Hanuman, he immediately took off. The only thing that would cure Lord Ram and Lakshman was a special herb that grew far off in the Himalayas. So Hanuman, with one jump, took off. The only thing is he forgot to ask what the herb looked like. So what to do? Anyone know what Hanuman did? Picked up the whole mountain. So here he is. This is utsaha, or enthusiasm. Rupa Goswami lists utsaha, enthusiasm, as the first criteria for devotional service. So here's Hanuman, Persian-style Hanuman, flying took the whole hill. Next. Anyway, here he is reviving. Here's Lakshman. I think it was only Lakshman who was cursed, and he's being revived by Hanuman and Lord Ram. Next. So here's the climax. He's faced. This is Lord Ram, and this is Hanuman. Next. And of course, where did he shot him in the heart? Didn't have any effect. Cut off his heads, 10 heads, no effect. Had to shoot him in the heart. Why, other than Dravida, does anyone know why? Shot him in the heart? Because he shot off his head, the head came right back. So where did Lord Ram shoot Ravana to kill him? Anybody know? Shot him in his heart. Dravida, why did you shoot him in the heart?
Because that's where lust is.
Because each of those 10 heads represented lust, anger, greed, like that. So you could cut off the heads, but they still came back because the resting place is in the heart. Therefore, Chaitanya Darpana Marjanam. Unless you actually chant the holy name, it doesn't solve the issue. You can be a yogi, a this, that, but you got to cleanse the heart with the holy name. Next. So here we see, bye-bye. This is a verse from the Bhagavatam. Ravana's laughter, overtaken by joy, along with his very air of life, suddenly ceased with the tingling sound of the bow of Ramchandra, the personality of Godhead. Okay, next. So Vibhishana was enthroned. He took over Lanka. It's not guna or karma. It's guna and karma, not janma, that determines somebody's status. Next. Here's Sita. This is actually, Diwali is actually celebrating this when they light all of Ayodhya to welcome Ram back. So next. So this is return of, he's getting the blessing from his mother. Here's Lord Ram bowing down at his mother Kausalya. Bart returns Rama's shoes. Next. I wonder if let's just cut this off. We'll go fast. So now Sita, how was Sita captured by Ravana? How is it possible? Anyone know the answer to this? How is it possible? Yes, Dravida.
Well, it wasn't possible. So there was a fake Sita, a substitute Sita, that went through the fire, and then
He took the false Sita. Yeah, reflective. That's a good word. So here is Sita, the real Sita, the original Sita. The other was a reflection, a faux Sita. So the faux Sita went back into the earth from whence she came, and the real Sita came out next. There's a great picture of this. A little hard to see. But there at Agni returned Sita. All the devas are there blessing her. Okay, next. So this is Agni returning Sita. Next. This is the coronation. Ram was installed because that was aborted. Next, all the different. We don't have time to go into it. Go back, but in this picture you see Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Chandra, Surya. All the devas are each giving a special gift to Lord Ram. Next. Okay, there it is. Okay. If we protect Dharma, Dharma will protect us. If we serve Krishna, Krishna will take care. Nothing else you can count on. Nothing else is reliable. Nothing else is stable. But if we take shelter of the words of Krishna, we will be delivered. Okay, next. All right, let's keep going because we gotta. Okay, there we go. This is the symbols. I'll have to look it up, but these are. Radharani has her own footprints. Krishna has his own. Lord Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya. They all have markings on. Do you have marks on your feet? Well, maybe we're just not as big as we think we are. But these are the marks on Lord Ram's feet. Okay, we can in there. Sorry, we're a little bit late. Appreciate it. Thank you, Pujaris. Hare Krishna. Who's speaking tonight? Balaram. Very good. So I warmed it up for you. Now it's in your hands.